I really like the color. This is the ocean blue metallic. And in the 2025 model, there's a few extra colors and stuff like that, but this isn't a new color, but it is a really impressive. If I was gonna get this vehicle, I would definitely get it in this color. This is looking good, especially with the gloss black theme going on with the ST. Very good looking vehicle. It's one of those vehicles that it's like an anomaly where the price and the features and the style, it just seems to be, the price is just too low, you would think. You look at the window sticker and you just can't believe how inexpensive this vehicle is. Yeah, really nice. So you can see that the actual headlights are down here, and these are just turn signal and accents here above that. I have a night video if you want to check it out on the 2024. It's basically the same thing as far as the nighttime experience. So this one has the gloss black wheels, and they're 19-inch wheels, looking pretty good. And the thing about gloss black wheels, you kind of have to keep them clean, and luckily the way the spoke design is, they're relatively easy to clean on this vehicle. So yeah, basically just body colored, and then mostly gloss black, a few matte blacks mixed in there. And I'm liking the back of the vehicle as well. This is style, the hatchback, it's very easy, very practical, looks good, it's very sleek, it's very easy to clean, and you know, like the wheels and the exterior surfaces are very easy to clean. It's just really well designed, I think. And this one has a few ads, you know, like additional options, which I'll show the window sticker at the end of the video. You know, $30,000 with all the additions added to the vehicle. It's pretty amazing. So the interiors, you do see some cost cutting, of course, since the price of the vehicle, but we still have some blue stitching, soft touch armrest here, not super soft, but it is soft. Most of it's a hard touch surface. And then there is the simulated leather seats here, the blue piping popping out. And the seats are fairly well done. I mean, I hadn't had any issues as far as discomfort. Legroom has been really fine. We do have hard touch surfaces, and then we have like kind of like a matching soft touch material here, non-reflective dash. This one also has a sunroof. The back seat is practical and usable. The swing of the door could be a little bit wider, but other than that, it seems fine. It's not overly bolstered or anything. Just get in, slide around. Plenty of leg room. You can see it's a completely flat floor, which is great for the people in the back, especially the center passenger. Just in general, if you're sitting and you have different places to put your feet, you're not confined. There's mat pocket. There's no center armrest or anything. It's a simple design for the car seat attachments. Basically, right here, the seam spreads open, and that's where you can attach the car seat. And when you're done, it just basically kind of goes back to its natural position. And then, so it's not, there's no plastic cover to take off and lose and all that stuff. It just looks good. It's very simple, not overly complex design. There's some USB ports back here, USB-C, USB-A, little storage cubby there. But yeah, usable back seats with leg room in a vehicle in this price range. You know, the hatchback and all that stuff. I noticed there was a can under the seat. And then I reached in there to get it, and I realized that there's this little depression right there. So let's say things that are in the floorboard, if they were to go this way, kind of catches them there in that little spot. Now this is under the passenger seat, and let's look under the driver's seat if we can see under here. Let me just kind of feel under there. Yeah, it kind of has that same effect where things can get caught there. So I don't know if that's on purpose, but it seems like it could be a good idea, I guess, if you want things to fall into a spot and not keep rolling around, and then you can just get them out. But, you know, That's just the way this is designed, I guess. I don't think it's intentional really, but it's kind of a little interesting thing I noticed and just wanted to point out. So the back of the vehicle has like this, it's tapered in the back without being overly intrusive on the headroom in the back seats, which is nice. So it has a little bit of a bulge there, but then it comes down nicely. I mean, it just looks cool. There's a little ripple here without actually having a spoiler. It actually kind of has that spoiler effect with the shape of the vehicle. Now the taillights, the turn signals are down here and then it's separated from the taillights, so it's kind of interesting. There is parking sensors on this one. It does have a power liftgate as well. The backup camera is okay. It's down here next to the tag, a little bit offset. Could be a little bit better, but it is what it is. So you press the button next to it, and that's how you open up the power liftgate, which has a power liftgate, you know, which is an add on this vehicle, additional option. And it has a shade. It covers up this whole cargo area. You can take this shade out. You can also fold the seats down if you need to add to the cargo space back here. But yeah, very usable cargo area. So it's easy to you know, go to the grocery store, put some stuff. There's a storage cubby here on the left side, which, you know, things can fall in there. It's kind of not really blocked off. And the carpet is a little bit slippery, so it'd be good to have like a rubber, you know, cargo mat type thing. There's a single light, and I show in the night video how, you know, the limitations of that. Now under the floor is a spare tire and tools, so that's good. A lot of new vehicles are not coming with a spare tire, so this having that is awesome. It also has like this feature where you can just kind of tilt it up and holds it up for you. But this is a loose panel, so, you know, just something to consider. It's not, you know, secure or anything, it's just laying there. But yeah, you can take this shade out. It's very easy, and then you can fold the seats down if you need more space. But look how much room there is already. It really does make this vehicle very practical with the hatchback, and then a, you know, huge area here, usable back seat, and comfortable front, and, you know, just the overall design of the vehicle is well done, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and close it down. I like the way it doesn't have any loud beeps. It has a little subtle beep. And that's the thing about this vehicle, is it's just little things like that, just kind of icing on the cake. Where when I open and close the power liftgate, I don't necessarily need my neighbors to know that, right? I don't need to wake up the whole neighborhood with loud microwave beeps in order to open and close the power liftgate. This has a little subtle beep. You can barely notice it, and then it comes down, it opens up. Same thing with locking the vehicle. It doesn't like honk the horn and wake up the whole neighborhood in order to lock the vehicle, right? So there's not a huge amount of unnecessary sounds. You know, it's not bugging you like crazy when as soon as you get in and start beeping at you and hollering at you for whatever reason. Different vehicles have all these loud noises and beeping and you know, microwave sounding beeps, just annoying you like crazy. This one doesn't have any of that, you know, so that's much appreciated by me for sure. So you can see the fuel doors here on the driver's side, and it's capless as well. So here's under the hood. There's some insulation under the hood. There's a lot of insulation and heat shielding there on the firewall, which helps out with sound isolation and heat isolation, keeping that heat, excess heat and stuff from going in the cabin. There's the battery that's easy to get to. It does have a turbocharger, and the turbocharger is back there. That's part of the reason why they have so much heat shielding, which is good. So I was able to get a comfortable seating position. I'm 6 feet tall, and to give you an idea of how much room is here for me, the leg room is not like super roomy or anything, but I don't really have any issues. The footrest is fine. I'm able to put my full foot on it, unlike other vehicles where it's like half on, half off. So full, the angle's nice. There's a slight place right here where my foot kind of gets a little bit jammed up, but overall it's fine. You know, once I got used to the vehicle, it hasn't been an issue. Controls on the door are fine. They're very easy to get to, everything right there. The power windows are one touch down, but you have to hold them to raise them up. And you can, of course, adjust the side mirrors and stuff. The door locks are there. And then the power lift gate right here, you can press it to lift it up, but it has the ability to adjust to a 3/4 position, or just completely turn the power lift gate off. At certain times you might need to do that. The 3/4 position will be good for like a low garage or something like that you don't want it to go all the way up, so you can have it the way you want it there. Then you have your headlight switch, dimmer switch here pops out, headlight switch. I show all that stuff in the night video. Steering wheel is awesome. It has the buttons on the back of the steering wheel like other GM vehicles, which I really appreciate. A volume on the right side, and then change to the tracks here on the left side. So that's on the back of the steering wheel. Here on the front of the steering wheel, the cruise control, and it's very easy to use. Once you turn it on, when you restart the vehicle, you don't have to keep turning it back on like some. You just get in the vehicle as you're driving. You just pull down, set, resume, cancel, and then turn it on there. You can adjust the gap or the space between you and the vehicle in front of you with the adaptive cruise control. And then there's a heated steering wheel as well. And the steering wheel feels pretty good, very comfortable. It's wrapped, it has some stitching there that's not really popping out and getting in the way or anything. A little bit of a flat bottom as well. Windshield wiper controls are here on the right side, and it does have a rain sensing automatic function as well, which you can turn off when you want to, like they're going through a car wash or something. So that's cool. I like rain sensing at certain times. It's really nice when that works well. So of course the turn signal is here, but it also has automatic high beams as well. And once again, I show all this stuff in the night video if you want to check it out. So the gauge cluster here, there's some buttons right here to go through and adjust some of that stuff. But there's also voice recognition, and it has 2 separate buttons for your Bluetooth phone. So to answer, you have this button. To hang up, you have this. And I like the way it has 2 separate buttons, because if you have a single button to answer and a single button to hang up, you could be answering another call when you're thinking you're hanging up, and then, you know, that could be an issue, right? So yeah, having the separate buttons here for the Bluetooth phone, and then you have the ability to go into your radio and you make selections here. Now the selections up and down and press in on this little rubberized wheel. You can see this little rubberized wheel on this side, and then you have this is like a little toggle switch, which is still rubberized. So to resume and to set, it's like a little toggle switch, rubberized. Here on the right side, this is a wheel, so it's just scroll wheel. And the fact that it's rubberized is nice. There's a lot of high-end vehicles that have a little wheel here, but it's like smooth plastic, and it has like little dimples and stuff on it. It's not rubberized. So with a wheel like this, where you can press in and scroll wheel, if it doesn't have adequate grip, then you're pushing in on it trying to get enough grip to scroll, and that like accidentally presses in on the button, and so it becomes like a little bit of a hassle, especially while you're driving and you start doing things and the controls are not refined enough to where they don't function properly. So this being an inexpensive vehicle, seeing this is really nice, having that rubberized, so it's no problem scrolling it, and it's no problem separating the scroll from the press. So little things like that just kind of make a big difference to me, because they add up, they compound with your experience driving in the vehicle. If there's one annoyance, and then there's 2 annoyances and 3 annoyances, then it's like you get to the point where you just get annoyed driving the vehicle, right? So little things like that, especially on a vehicle this price, it's excellent. The gauge cluster is a screen, and it shows basic stuff. Right now it's showing the fuel gauge over here, and how far you can drive with the amount of fuel. This is the digital compass here, digital speedometers here, obviously. Now it does have the RPM, the tachometer gauge here as well, what gear you're in. This is the engine coolant temperature there on the right, and then the odometer's there. The status of the adaptive cruise control with the lane keep assist system will show up there, and what your cruise control is set at is right here. Using this little scroll wheel, let's press in and hold it for a second. Still holding it. All right, I'm gonna release it. We have these different options. So we're looking at the gauge 2. Gauge 1 looks like that, or doesn't have, it's a little bit less, things are kind of rearranged basically. I mean, it just has a slight different look. You still get the same information, but it's just kind of rearranged differently. It looks differently. All right, so we saw gauge 2. We also have one that's called clean, and then that's what that looks like. So there's a little bit different look once again. Now if we have vehicle info on, then it'll show the trips here, and it'll give you the average miles per gallon and how far you've driven, that kind of stuff. And if we go back to the menu, we can go to Infotainment, and it'll show you what's playing on your radio. So whatever is going on your radio, if nothing's going on right now, it'll show up here on the screen. So that'll stay up. So these are the different ways you can customize the screen. It's not overly complex, and it's just simple. Once you make the selection that you want, then you can just kind of leave it there. You don't have to go in and do all this adjustments or anything. So yeah, it just keeps it simple. Since you're probably asking yourself, how do you reset the trip? This would be a good time to show you this screen to the right. You do have a physical volume knob as well, but the trip information is under this icon. So you have these different icons here, and you can choose the trip, and you can reset them independently, and then you can have them show in cluster, which we did on the screen here as well. So we can reset trip 2, reset, and there we go, it's reset. So going through here, here's the radio. Here's the audio sources: AM, FM, satellite radio, Bluetooth, and then you can add another Bluetooth device here if you'd like. And that's another thing about this vehicle. The sound system is awesome, especially for the price of the vehicle. If it's not like some kind of top tier expensive, you know, $5,000 system that you're adding to your vehicle. It just sounds good already. You know, like it's pretty impressive what they've done with this vehicle. Okay, so there's the different ones here. The phones, you can add them here. Traction control, you can adjust here. You want to keep that on unless you need to spin tires for whatever reason. Then we saw the information for the trip. Now the fuel economy is a separate option here, in which we can go in here, keep an eye on that, and we can reset it, and we can also show it in the cluster if we want. Here's the actual home screen. And so the home screen just gives us a combination of Apple CarPlay, Android Auto options. You have settings, Wi-Fi hotspot. You also have the climate. A little bit of redundancy as far as the climate, because we do have some physical controls down here. But if you want to go into the climate, you can do that here and control it. All right, let's go into the settings. And we can adjust the date and time, language, manage our phones, Wi-Fi hotspot, display, sounds, units, updates, all that stuff. So that's the system. Here's the vehicle settings. Lighting, power door locks. Then you have apps, which is the last one. Audio apps, phone apps, and OnStar. Go to the audio, phone, and OnStar. Let's see what that says here. All right. And there's a little tiny digital clock. I wish it was bigger so you can see it a little bit better, but it's, you know, it's fine. Outside temperature as well. But yeah, pretty good. It's not overly complex, easy to use, and it has a lot of functionality, especially when you consider that you can add Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to the system. And, you know, people that are familiar with that and use that kind of system, you know, this is just completely compatible with both of them. All right, so down here, temperature, fan speed knobs, where you want the air to blow, front and rear defrosters. You have heated seats, a 3-stage heated seats, a high, medium, and low. The heated steering wheel is just on or off, but the seats are a 3-stage. And so yeah, you have the recirculate the air. You have automatic function as well. So although it's not dual zone, it's still fine. Hadn't really had any problems with it. And then the four-way flashers are there. So down here is a wireless charger, which was fine with my phone. I could put my phone in there even with a big case. It charges no problem. There's a 12-volt power supply, USB-A, USB-C, and I like the way the phone just kind of plops in there like this. There's no like drama on how you do it. You just plop it in there and it works. It's all lined up and works fine, and it's a rubberized surface, and it's, you know, has like it has enough room without being overly large. I don't know, it just holds it in place and charges the phone. And that's, you know, a lot of vehicles, there's like some kind of issue with that for some reason. There's the idle stop, which you can turn off here, so that would be the off light there. And then you have a lane departure warning system here as well. So it has the on light. That's the on light. Okay, so the shifter is pretty straightforward. It's just a regular old shifter. Put it in reverse. The parking sensors are active, and now the backup camera is also up. The visibility, even though the camera's in that weird position, is still fine. We have a really good wide-angle view. It has active guidelines, so as I turn the steering wheel, you can see the guidelines move there. And so yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not the super high-end resolution or anything, but the wide angle and the visibility, and it gives you enough information to have certainty when you're backing up that you're not going to hit something directly behind the vehicle, you know, like a bicycle laying on the ground or something like that. And it does have a low range as well. So there's the drive, neutral, and then a low range all the way down here. So if you need to adjust the gear ratio here, you can do it on the side. So there's a plus and minus. And you'll know what gear you're in because it'll say low 1, 2, and then you can adjust it here. So if you're downshifting, you're going down a steep hill or something like that, you can, you know, have some control over the gear ratio of the vehicle. Now, electronic parking brakes here, you just lift it up to engage it. It engages the rear wheels. Hold the brake and push it down to release it. Now, if you accidentally leave it on and you put it in gear and try to go, it's going to automatically release it for you. The cup holders are pretty straightforward. I mean, they don't have any kind of like, you know, holder arms, you know, like spring-loaded arms or anything, but it seems to work okay, and it's completely open and flat on the bottom. So like you can put your phone there, you can use it for other things besides just cups. Here's a little storage area right here, and put some change. It's rubberized here on the bottom, so it's kind of look like a little quick access place. And here's the armrest, which is not soft almost at all. It's just kind of like a rubbery surface. And then this lifts up, and I got my stuff in the way. There's my business cards. And if you want one of these, email me and I'll send you one. And then there's headphones. All right, fine, I got everything out of the way. All right, so there is the black abyss of a storage compartment, but it goes in there quite a ways, and there is a felt lining. And I've mentioned this before, that if you take this felt lining and put a white one in there or a brighter color, then it makes it easier to see. It reflects some light from the bottom, and you can see in these compartments a little bit better. Because as it is right now, it's kind of like just dark. There's no light or anything, and it just goes in there. It's nice to have a compartment here, but being able to find things in there is sometimes a little bit of a challenge, especially if you junk it up, because this is basically the junk drawer of the vehicle, right? That's what this kind of serves as. But the armrest is kind of spring-loaded, so it doesn't flap back down on you when you lift it up. Here's the key, and it does have remote start, lock, unlock, the ability to open up the power lift gate, panic button here as well. It's pretty good. It's not overly large, not overly heavy, and it's easy to just carry around with you. I do have a video on showing how to replace the battery inside, and just the overall, you know, just overall design of how the key comes apart and stuff like that, if you want to check that out. The rear view mirror is a manual day and night mode. So at nighttime, if there's somebody behind you with the bright lights, you just flip it up like that. So it doesn't have an auto dim function. You do have some OnStar information here. Roadside assistance, emergency stuff. The interior lights, you can have them turn on with the door. You can turn them on here with the door, or completely off. Yeah, I mean, it's just not like super advanced interior lights or anything like I showed in the night video, but there they are. This is for the sunroof. You have two separate buttons, one to slide it, one to tilt it. The visors have a little clip here. They're like a vinyl material. The headliner is a cloth and it's both black. And there is a mirror with lights. And the thing about this visor, it doesn't slide. So there's just this empty spot right here where that's right where the sun is, right? It's fine here in the front, but when you go to the side, it doesn't slide. And that was a little bit of an issue for me a couple times. It's not a huge deal, but it's something worth mentioning. Sunroof has a shade that blocks 100% of the light. And you can just move it back and go ahead and slide it back. Push it again, goes a little bit further back. Go forward, and it has a separate button to tilt it here on the right. And sometimes I like a manual shade because it's just so much easier just to go like that. You don't have to push a button and wait for it to close or anything like that. You just like, bam, it's done. Visibility, it does have a small opening, like you're just looking over behind you, there's like a small window back there, but overall it's fine. I mean, it has those pillars that can get in the way. But this vehicle has the blind spot detection system, rear cross traffic alert, cameras and parking sensors, all that stuff to help you drive the vehicle safely. So I haven't really had an issue, especially with the camera. I mean, the camera really does fill in a lot where these blind spots are, especially, going backwards. Going forward, the pillar isn't overly wide, and there is a space between the pillar and the side mirror. So there's not like, it's not too bad as far as blind spots here. Yeah, the sound system is awesome. That's a huge plus in my book. When I'm driving a vehicle and then I have to fiddle around with the stereo in order to get it to sound okay for the music that I listen to, it just kind of like takes away from the experience, right? This one, it just has some basic adjustments and it just sounds good. I just got in the vehicle, start playing it, and it sounded good. Of course you can adjust it if you want, but really appreciate that things just work on this vehicle. Another thing about it is it's very easy to zip around. Like, the turning radius is ridiculous. And I'm able to just kind of zip around in parking lots. I have a good feel of the space around the vehicle, so I can park it fine. Some vehicles, like, you think you're in the center of the parking spot and you're like a little bit off every single time, but it's just because of the way just the way the vehicle is. You feel like you're not quite. It's hard to really gauge precisely where the vehicle is in relationship to other things, especially when you don't drive it all the time. So you drive it for a week and you still have issues with it, but I guess over a period of time it'll get better, right? But this one is just, you have that zippiness. You have the comfortable with it, with the space and everything. You can, so I'm able to just like zip into parking spots and no problem, that kind of thing. Now, it being a smaller engine, I thought that it was just going to be really annoyingly slow, right? But my experience with this vehicle has been that it's fine, for the vast majority of the people. The acceleration is fine. Now, with most vehicles, if you like really push past the RPM range, then it feels a little bit sluggish. Which this one, it's not as bad. And the engine's not loud, and you can hear it in there, but they did a good job of separating it, because it's a little whiny engine or whatever. So if it's coming into the cabin too much, then it might be annoying, like some other vehicles, and they're actually Buick some of them. But this one's actually better than some of the other ones where the engine noise is isolated great. So yeah, some of the more expensive vehicles, it's like, what are they like? I don't know. There's some stuff that this vehicle nails where the more expensive vehicle, they don't. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, they're doing a great job on this one. The sound isolation, the acceleration, I'm able to zip around. If you're playing music or anything and you're accelerating, it just feels fine. Like, it doesn't feel like the engine's underpowered in the way that you would think, right? I mean, unless you're driving a really fast car all the time, and then you get into a less powerful car, and then you can noticeably tell the difference. If you're driving like a Hellcat or something, or even like a sporty electric car or something like that, and you get in a vehicle, just a normal vehicle like this, you're like, okay, it's slower, right? But who cares, right? It gets you where you want to go, and there's no problem as far as the acceleration. You're not going to have any problems really with passing or merging or out on the highway. It just feels fine because it's not a big, heavy vehicle. It's not overly heavy. It's efficient with its weight, its size, and it's able to put some passengers in here and accelerate and everything without a lot of drama. And give you, satisfying. To me, it's satisfying power. It's satisfying enough. It was actually better than what I thought it was going to be the first time I drove one. Which this is my second time driving it, and the more I drive it, the more I appreciate it, the more I like it, the more I appreciate the design, the way it looks. It's very presentable. You can pull up anywhere, and you feel like you've got a luxury looking vehicle. You can have people ride with you, and it looks good. It feels good. And it's not expensive. It's not like you're driving a very expensive vehicle, but most people, if they don't really know the price, then they might think it's much more expensive than what it actually is. So yeah, on the window sticker, it's like 25 something starting out, and then it has almost $5,000 worth of add-ons. So we're at $30,000. That's ridiculous for this vehicle. It's really, really good, and I'm very impressed. Not just for the price, because you're not buying a price, you're actually buying a vehicle that's going to be part of your life. And when you have a vehicle that is this well done for the price, it's even better. It's even better. So yeah, the fuel economy, I'm getting around 27, 28, somewhere in there. You can say, well, maybe it should be better, that kind of thing. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It does have the idle stop, but it doesn't have any kind of. It doesn't have any issues like when you're driving some of these vehicles, especially with a turbo. There's like this huge turbo lag, and then with the idle stop and all that stuff, and it just feels like super annoying to drive. And I've used this example before. The last time I drove one of these, I had a BMW X2 in my driveway, and I had this at the same time, and I could have driven either one of them, and I always chose this one because the other one had the turbo lag, and it had it had some issues that I just was annoying enough to where I just chose to drive this one every time I had to go somewhere. If I wanted to drive somewhere, this is the one I chose. And this is half the price or less than half the price of the other one. So, something to consider there with how I felt about it anyway. You set the cruise control, and we're going 71, and no problems. I was able to accelerate, merge, all that stuff, maintain high speeds. Feels good on the highway. Sound isolation isn't bad. We do have some road noise, but almost no wind noise, very little wind noise, and just other noises outside seem to be kept out nicely. And I'm glad that they keep the engine noise out. I think it was the Buick Enclave I drove where it has this the engine was too loud, like it was getting in the cabin, and it just made the vehicle sound cheaper than what it actually was. It was actually a decent vehicle, but it's just that engine noise just kind of took away from the quality of the ride, or your experience. You know, you're just having a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden, yeah, loud noise, and you know, it's kind of interrupting and everything. But this one is much better in that regard. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell, there is some road noise, but it's no big deal. If you're playing music or something, you won't even hear it. It's not a big deal. The microphone on the camera tends to exaggerate sounds a little bit. Right there is a little bit louder, this rougher road. But yeah, overall it's fine. I've heard worse, for sure. And really, I mean, it's not like a suit. The seat and everything, the comfort is once again much better than I thought it was going to be. You know, some vehicles, the seat's a little bit, I mean, this isn't like super plush or soft, and it's not like I would prefer to go on any like 12-hour trips or anything, but I don't really care to do that anyway. Okay, so let's do a little acceleration here, uphill. Of course, it's uphill, so we got a entrance ramp. And that was uphill to the floor. So even though the engine was, you know, accelerating quite a bit, we didn't have that much noise getting into the cabin. This whole time I've kind of took for granted the ride quality until I just hit some really significant bumps there, and it's like, oh, whoa, what's that? A bump? I could feel it. But yeah, the ride quality is really good. It handles all this. The suspension handles everything, you know, to where I wasn't even paying attention to it until I hit those bumps, and just kind of reminded me to mention how well they did with the suspension for this type of vehicle, right? It just feels good, you know. There's no significant issue as far as like bounciness or, you know, too stiff or anything like that. It's just a normal, comfortable ride, relatively quiet and smooth, and just easy to drive around, zip around, and do your normal routine as life. It doesn't get in the way of your life, you know. There's no like annoying beeping and honking and all that stuff. It has enough features to where, you know, you're satisfied with your drive, like adaptive cruise control and power lift gate and stuff like that. But yeah, very impressed with this vehicle for sure.